Yeah, we on Boss Talk 101. Yeah, we gonna talk.
Good morning, Brenda.
Good morning.
Good luck today, all right?
Good luck in court today. How are you feeling?
The judge ordered the prosecutors and defense attorneys to begin preparing for deliberations. It appears that could start sometime next week. Combs' former assistant Brendan Paul took the stand earlier today. He testified that he was asked to buy thousands of dollars worth of drugs. And during cross-examination, Paul called his 2024 arrest on drug possession a mistake. NBC News correspondent Chloe Melas joins us now from outside the courthouse. So, Chloe, what did we learn about Brendan Paul's role as a member of Combs' team during these years that are in question here?
Look, I mean, this was incredibly fascinating testimony because remember, Brendan Paul was arrested on the day that Combs' homes were raided. And we even saw a photo of Brendan Paul on that private plane with Combs and KK, Christina Karam, who we've heard a lot about, Combs' former chief of staff, and everybody's asking if she could potentially testify during the defense because she's come up so much. But, you know, Brendan Paul said that he has a complicated relationship with Combs, complicated feelings. You know, he was 23 years old. He went to go work for Combs to break into the music industry. He had been a basketball player at Syracuse University, and he worked for him for 2 years, worked on the Love album, and he did things like setting up hotel rooms for freak-offs and buying him drugs on occasion. That this was not really the job that he signed up for, but he did learn a lot. And we've heard that from a lot of different individuals who have testified that it's complicated, that they did see a lot of this big world in the music industry, but at the same time, there was illegal activity. And so I think Brian Steele on cross-examination really, though, did drive the point home that this idea that Combs was running a criminal enterprise, Combs was doing these freak-offs and doing drugs in his personal time. And it'll be interesting to see what the jury makes of this. Was Combs running a racketeering enterprise and using people like Brendan Paul to carry out illegal activity? Or was this a man who had a drug addiction and a sex addiction? And were these women willing participants?
Wow, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share. Make sure you guys hit that notification bell and all that good stuff. Well, you know, Brendan Paul comes back up today. This was a kid that I didn't even feel like should have even been in the situation at all when I seen Diddy. And it was like, this guy looks like an oddball to me. A lot of people thought that he was an undercover. A lot of people said a lot of things. Me and OG talked about this a lot, actually. But this was a guy who basically was now saying that he was the assistant of Sean Combs. And he comes up today, Brendan Paul does, and, you know, talks about the drugs and everything that he was asked to provide to Diddy. And of course, Cassie and Bo, they all knew this guy. They all knew him. So at the end of the day, when you start to see him, he arrives at court this morning ready to go. And it's crazy, man. They hadn't stopped yesterday, you know, with it being a holiday. They was not trying to hear it when it comes down to it. You got to think about it. They didn't, you know, it was a holiday, so they wasn't going to be there. But Brendan Paul, man, you know, we knew he was going to be on the stand. We knew he was coming. We anticipated it. Now, from me, it didn't look like he just did a hell of an impact. We knew. Now, he basically says that Diddy was doing the drugs. So if that's the case, then you got to understand that, you know, hey, you know, Diddy was doing the drugs. You know, I don't think he was selling the drugs. I don't think that, I mean, a lot of the stuff that I see, to me, it looks like they got him for one thing, but they pretty much prosecuted him for another. It's crazy to me how they're acting towards him when it comes down to the things that they're charging him with, but the things that they're asking about around the situation doesn't add up to the crime for me. But of course, with the tax evasion, with all the stuff that you can see throughout this trial, with the with abuse, sexual assault, you know, these are things that don't quite add up to the things that he's been charged with. And then again, some of them parallel some of the things slightly. So it's really a weird case. This guy comes in, Brendan Paul, and he's basically telling the man he used to be the one going to get it, but he didn't start off like that. He wanted to deal with music. And a lot of times people, you know, get put in a situation because of money. A lot of times people get caught up in situations because of freedom. They're getting to be in the biggest houses, ride in the biggest jets. Everybody that can't afford this lifestyle. So this is the part what they're not talking about. A lot of these people are opportunists, just like they was just trying to be around Diddy as well as Diddy was using them. They was using Diddy. This was a trifold thing. Everybody was trying to get something out of it, I believe. And it's a trip how now all of a sudden they're trying to make it a Diddy thing. Do I think Diddy's going to get convicted? It's up in the air for me. You never know in these court cases. I know personally I've been through this, not this particular situation, but dealing with the court system. You don't ever know what's going to happen. A lot of people saying, yeah, he's going to fry. Some people saying, no, it might be a hung jury. You just don't know. You don't know, and you won't know. But I do know this. I think that they're going to try to make this thing happen before the 4th of July. I think these people are trying to get out of them courtrooms. I think they want to be done with this. I don't think it'll be a long deliberation. Whenever they get ready to tell, hey, if you're guilty or not, you're going to hear that stuff come back fast. And it may happen as soon as next Friday, to be quite honest with you. I don't think that, I don't even think Steele and them trying to stay in there. But I'll read a little bit of what happened today. It says, in text messages entered by the prosecution from Cassie Ventura to Sean Combs on May 2nd, 2017, she didn't deserve to be beaten up. That's not love, that's possession, Ventura wrote to him in a apparent reference to the infamous 2016 video beating. Brendan Paul, Combs' former personal assistant, testified that during his employment, he was instructed to buy thousands of dollars worth of various drugs for Combs' use. The defense suggests its case could be shorter than anticipated, with its witness list possibly completed by Wednesday. If the government rests on Monday, as expected, Combs' attorney might be able to present their entire case on Tuesday and Wednesday, defense lawyer Brian Steele told the court. Combs faces 5 criminal counts, 1 count of racketeering conspiracy, 2 counts of sexual traffic by force, fraud and coercion, and 2 counts of transporting the engaged prostitution. Combs has vociferously denied the allegations against him. And I'm telling you, to me, the racketeering and all this stuff outright, have it been proven? Sex trafficking, I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen it. I seen other people around making things happen. And I think they're going to try to equate it to just put it up in a big bubble. And I don't know if it works like that. Like I said, Brendan Paul, when they arrested him, he had drugs on him, but he definitely have signed information and statements so he could get out of his situation. So a lot of stuff he's doing is being coerced by the people who are talking to him and telling him what, asking him to get on the stand and asking these questions. These questions are already being played out a certain way just so they can get the answers that they want. And I'm telling you right now, for them to say that he basically was getting drugs for Diddy to do the drugs, it definitely ain't no thing where he was just out here just running no enterprise. I remember the day they took him in. Watch this. And you can remember that day when that happened. You know, basically, you know, he was one of the guys that got caught up in the situation when they was arresting people around Diddy's, you know, and it seemed so weird for him to just have drugs on him that day. It made me feel like he was a mule, or it was a setup. And it was like, wow, you know, how does this kid here end up in the mix to this? And now he's saying he was the assistant, but was he a plant? You know, was he an informant? A lot of people are speculating to that. But Brendan Paul says he was a person who loved basketball and did all these other things and wanted to be an assistant, trying to pave his way in music. He had a whole bunch of things he was doing, but all I know is he was dealing with drugs. So that's the thing that we definitely know was happening. But when you look at this trial from the beginning to the end, I kind of, and me and OG would argue about this, he was on here, but I kind of I kind of tend to feel like it would definitely be a thing where, you know, it could go either way for me. I know some people say he going to jail, they gonna throw the book at him, but mark my word, it can be weird when it come down to a court case. These guys are all influential. You don't know. I mean, the juror at number 6 getting kicked out could have pissed somebody else off in that jury too as well. We don't know. Or somebody told somebody something, but they know more about it internally than what we know. So all of these things are going to play factors, and when they start making their decisions, whether it be after he rests the case and they deliberate or whatever, you're going to start to see how people really feel about this. And like I said, if they didn't get him right, certain people are not going to ride with it because they know already what they say is going to impact his life. But a lot of people are saying, throw the book at him. He shouldn't have been dealing with all these people with the power and the way that he was doing it. But again, with what I've been hearing, a lot of these people were benefiting from the situation and trying to, and they made it, and Steele and all that team over there, as far as on the defense side, they made it really prevalent that this was something that was happening. So I'm telling you now, it's two sides to every story. I can't wait till next week to see what the defense do, even though they hadn't been saying a lot. They haven't been objecting a lot. They hadn't stopped anything from happening. So it's almost like a railroad case to me as well. They handing Diddy over in a way to where they packaging him up to just pass him on off, and they got some money out of this situation. Was this a money grab for the attorneys, or are they really fighting this case? Because as far as the dynamics of it, I seen them knock jury number 6 off, and then they turned around and they played this however they wanted to play it. As far as the prosecuting, the government was all over this. But y'all got to get in the comments and let me know what y'all think, because like I said again, the government was all over this, and this was something that basically it looks to me like they have control of it. The defense team seem to be, when they cross-examine, you can see they do make a lot of the stuff discredited on the other side when they speak. When they speak to Cassie, when they spoke to Jane, which a lot of people say was 50 Cent's baby mom, when they spoke to this guy right here, Diddy, when he talked to Brendan Paul, now he's just bringing him drugs. And now when Steele even spoke up, he talked about it in that way. Like he was a victim, like he's on drugs and he needs help. They played it that way when you really think about it. So it's a thing where you just got to know that, hey, listen, man, it's not going to be no easy win for these guys at all when it comes down to it. I don't think, you know what I mean? So I think the main thing you got to think about is basically you don't know which way this is going to go. That's the one thing I can say. You really don't know which way it's going to go. You don't know what's going to happen. You just basically got to play it by ear. I'm taking from me, a guy who basically up close and personal know that Diddy don't know, his lawyers don't know, and neither does the prosecuting attorney them know if this is going to go the way they want it to go. It's all in the hand of the jury. When it all boils down to it, it will be in the hands of the jury, and the jury going to go in there and make their decision. And when they come back, that's what it's going to be. If they find Diddy guilty, they probably going to let this thing ride. He'll just be sitting there guilty for a while until after the holidays. If they find him a hung jury, he'd be happy as hell because he's about to get out of there. And when they say, hey, man, all of them not in agreement, but if that's the case, they may be in there for a long time, and they ain't going to come out fast. So you guys got to let me know what y'all think, man. I'm looking forward to seeing what happened with this Diddy case. No cap. I really want to know kind of what they're going to do with him. It's really, I don't have a dog in the fight, but at the end of the day, it's interesting to see after all the stuff they done, we've covered this thing from the very beginning. Now to see it go through, I want to see. Either way, it doesn't matter to me because if people are hurt, Diddy needs to be pretty much prosecuted. Everybody that I talk to say he's gone. It's over for him. Ain't no coming back from this. He will not be getting out of there. He'll be doing 10 to 15 years in prison at the minimum is what I'm being told by people around me. But I'm saying you never know. he could walk out of there because one person could have got pissed off, two people could have got, when the other guy got kicked off this thing. Because you just don't ever know what kind of relationship those people had, and if they see him trying to make something happen, they will be pissed and they will not go. One thing about a person who feels they want to do something a certain way, you can't change their mind, especially when they're strong-headed. But guys, make sure you like, subscribe to the channel. If you're still watching, Massey, them guys basically still out, but some more stuff came in today and we talked about it. You need to check this out, The Escapees. Look, it should be somewhere on this screen. Boss Talk 101 reviews.
Yeah, we on Boss Talk 101. Yeah, we gonna talk.